Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join me for this. This is going to be the first in several series that we're going to do specifically for practice managers in ways that you can help protect your Google business profile and how you can help improve the rankings on that and really drive a lot more traffic to your website through organic means. The space is definitely getting more competitive. I know for a while now it's been very, very busy, but what we're seeing in a lot of different markets is that the space is definitely getting more competitive. So as that happens, these are definitely things that we're going to want to keep our eyes on and pay attention to. But there's really some simple practices that you can do, that you can implement starting today, that can really help improve those rankings and really help improve your visibility online. The main reason that I am focusing on the Google Business Profile out of the gate is this is the #1 lead source for people looking for a veterinarian near me. So think about it. Someone has an emergency, someone moved to a new area, someone's just looking for a new practice. Typically, they're going to go in and they're going to search for either the service name and or just a simple veterinarian near me search. And where you pop up in that map position is absolutely critical. We still see that about 40 to 60% of all clicks across different industries that drive people and drive leads to a website are coming from the Google Business Profile. It's right at the top. It's easy to see. People know that it's not ads. They like to see the trust that's built because we have the reviews there and everything like that. So this is a critical component to your online presence. Obviously, there's a million different things that you can do in terms of communication and online presence, but we're going to focus heavily on this one today to get started. All right, so we're going to go over 6 ways that we can do that. The first thing that we're going to cover is reviews. Then we're going to cover a fully completed profile with a detailed description, and I'll give you some specifics about what I mean about that. Talk about enabling the messaging feature of your Google Business Profile, how important it is to post regularly and to use the high-quality images, your consistency in NAP, which if anyone doesn't know what NAP is, that's going to be your name, address, and phone number. There's a ton of listing sites all over the internet. We want to make sure that our name, address, and phone number is consistent because that is a ranking factor with Google. And then ways that we can optimize the actual website and how that ties back to the Google Business Profile. So we're going to start off with reviews because reviews are the #1 thing that you can do on a consistent basis that will improve your rankings. I've seen it across the board where we've been able to, do different things from an SEO perspective to really boost someone's rankings up, gets them, towards that top spot. But when they really commit to the consistent review process, that's what really jumps them into the top spot. And sometimes people ask, they're like, this company is ranked higher than me in Google, but we've been around forever and we have 400 some reviews. Well, Google rewards consistency. Google wants to see that these are consistently happening on a monthly basis from new customers and things like that. That's what's going to really help with the algorithm. So, getting consistent reviews is one of the best way to do that. You don't just want to do a single outreach. Like I see people do this all the time. They're like, oh, we got a bad review or something like that. Let's push for reviews. Let's, email all of our past customers and get that. It's okay. You're going to get more reviews. You may help manipulate the score and things like that. But Google's just going to see that as a one-time event and not an ongoing effort. And Google's definitely going to reward the ongoing efforts. The #1 thing that you can do to really, really push and get reviews on a consistent basis is right at the desk, right at the front desk, right when someone's checking out. You can print out your QR code. The QR code will link directly to the leave a review for the Google Business Profile. You can get that link directly from your Google Business Profile. You embed that into the QR code. And when someone scans that with their phone, that's going to pop up immediately and they're going to be able to leave review. A lot of the practices that I work with tend to put some sort of offer, whether it's, a percentage off on their next visit, some sort of a free treat, something, right? Some sort of incentive to get your customer to leave a review. And you have to think about it. Reviews are emotionally driven. So when someone just had a great experience, they brought their dog in, maybe they were sick, their cat, something, and you were able to provide a great service, give them comfort, make them feel good. That is the moment that we're going to be able to get the highest level of reviews. So The reason that it's so important to do it this way and scan and not just send through email is the number one reason people don't leave a Google review is, you'll reach out to them and say, hey, can you leave us a Google review? They're like, absolutely. We love your practice. We're going to go in and we are going to, do that when we get home, do it on the computer. Well, the challenge is not everyone is always logged in to a Gmail account. And the only way you can leave a Google Business Profile review is through a logged in Gmail account. The beauty about doing it from a smartphone device is somewhere on that device, you are typically logged in to a service with a Gmail account, whether it's your Google Maps, whether it's there's typically something, even just your Gmail app, right? Like something has you logged in on that phone. So when they go and they scan that code, that barrier to, oh, I forget, what's my Gmail address again? I haven't used it in forever. I forget my password. All those things that are barriers to having them leave the review are going to be eliminated because that review box is going to pop right up. They can click the stars. They can leave the reviews right there. So this is the most effective way that you can generate, and it's super, super simple. I recommend getting like an 8x11 plastic stand. Just insert that in there, make a nice little design with it, pop the QR code, and you are ready to go. The other thing that you want to do is respond to all reviews. I see some people only respond to the negative reviews, and that's important. And there's techniques that you should use when you're responding to negative reviews, which is addressing the review, not arguing with the customer, taking ownership, and then inviting that customer to call the office and discuss further and things like that, right? Because the people that are seeing the bad reviews, sometimes people understand that someone's emotionally charged, they're upset. How we respond to those is most important. But what about the good reviews? So with the good reviews, we also want to respond. And number one, I think it looks good, right? I think it's just good to have, responses and a thank you and everything like that for every review. But number two, this really does impact the algorithm. Google loves to see you responding to the reviews. So those are a couple things that you can do right now. And again, I made this number one because this is the number one thing that if you do on a consistent basis, you can really start to see those increases and really help that business profile. Okay, the next thing is we have our Google Business Profile. And when we first get that set up, it's going to be very simple. A lot of times it doesn't even have like a full description in it, a full practice description. Sometimes we don't have the hours of operation set and everything, right? So we want to make sure that we go in there and we do that audit frequently. Sometimes hours of operation change, but we forget to update the Google Business Profile, all things like that. When we're writing our detailed descriptions, we want to make sure that we're using keywords. So if you do things like emergency services, use the word emergency vet services right in the description. If you specialize in pet dental care, dog dental care, use those terms directly in those descriptions. Because again, when someone's searching for that, that's going to be a keyword, that's going to be a hit. They're going to find that profile match in the description that it has those words, and you'll definitely be able to improve the rankings. The other thing to do is complete the Q&A section. There's the frequently asked questions, and you can start by populating some of your own questions in there, some frequently asked questions that you get. This also just shows the opportunity to show your expertise. It shows that you care. It shows that you're willing to put information out there for the community. Things about, what happens if my dog swallowed this, or just, various different questions that you could put in there that would really help, differentiate yourself. Because when someone comes and they sees that and they sees all the expert opinions and things like that, that's really going to help. And the last thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we select all the right categories. You don't just want to have things like veterinarian clinic, right? We want to make sure that in the services within the Google Business Profile, we are listing out each service. Okay, so whether it's emergency services, spay and neutering, all the different services that you do, that you specialize in, and then put a service description in for each one. Again, that's all going to signal to the algorithm. That's all going to help boost that up. So, when you're complete with this, log into the Google Business Profile, do a little audit, and just check some of these things. Because again, Google Business Profile, it used to be called Google My Business about 2 years ago. It's evolved many, many times. The service descriptions has expanded, and things like that. So if this is something that, yes, we did maybe, but we set that up 5 years ago, it's definitely time to take an audit of that and check it out. enabling messaging on your profile. Now, this is something that obviously someone has to be able to respond to and man. So typically we see, whether it's someone at the front desk, or someone who's going to be able. The good thing about messaging is you can turn it on and off. So if you are in a situation where you can't respond to messages, just make sure that you turn that feature off. But this is a great thing. We live in a, I almost said Twitter. We live in an X world, right? So we're used to just quick messages, quick responses, short characters, things like that. So, a lot of times, someone's in need, someone needs a quick answer, someone's looking if you just have quick availability, just that ability to respond immediately to them. And even if you say, hey, call into the office so we can get you scheduled, something like that is perfectly fine. But if we can be on top of that quick response, sometimes people are looking for something during their lunch break and they're not ready to make the phone call, but they want quick answers. So enabling the messaging on your profile is definitely going to put you in a position to give those quick answers. And again, just make sure that you set up the messaging to match your hours of operations, when you're available, put the time block in if someone's going to be out for lunch. You don't want people just messaging and getting no responses. So just make sure that you have those things dialed in. But again, any practice that I work with that enables this, that has this going, will typically see a flow of several messages per month that are coming in there. And I've actually seen this trending up. I've seen this trending up. I've been in digital marketing for over 10 years. I used to do all digital marketing in the legal space, which is the highest competitive space on the internet. And things are constantly evolving and constantly evolving, but this is something that I've been watching and I've been keeping my eye on, and this is definitely trending up. So the use of this, I do believe, is going to continue to trend up. So it's something to get ahead of. Not a lot of people are doing it. There is a lot of people in other spaces like the legal space and certain restaurant businesses and things like that, but I don't see it as much in the vet space. So it's really, really an advantage. It's really something that if you get ahead of, you're kind of ahead of the game a little bit on that in the space. Okay, so be sure to post regularly and use high quality images. So in Google Business, in your Google Business profile, there is the section where you can make Google Business profile posts, and they're usually typically short character posts. What you want to do with these is the same thing as we talked about, and what we will talk about with some of the on-page strategies, is we want to make sure that we're using keywords. We want to make sure the titles are using keywords. We want to make sure that the short description are using keywords. And we also want to make sure that we are linking those Google Business profile posts back to the page on your website that contains more information about that. It's very, very simple to do. You just go into the Google Business profile, you create new post, and it's very intuitive. Google makes things easy for us. So you're going to drag and drop an image into the image box, and then you're going to go ahead and type that, and then it actually shows you how to embed the link right back to your page. Something very simple to do, something that I recommend doing on a weekly basis. And it doesn't always just have to be things about your specific service, right? You can talk about things that are happening at the practice. You can talk about, hey, it's our 3-year anniversary. Hey, it's this person's birthday, right? Like one of the doctors or one of the veterinary technicians, just things about your practice that are just engaging to your customers. And the use of high quality images. Now, obviously there's a lot of stock images on the internet, and people tend to gravitate towards those. They're simple, they're easy to grab, easy to use. But Google also loves, and the algorithms and the readers can actually read personalized images. So Google loves images of you outside your practice with the sign. Google loves images of you inside the practice with a dog, with a cat. Google loves all that stuff as well. So whenever available, definitely make sure you're using a mixture of, regular images, because it's tough to keep up with that many images if you're taking them all for yourself. So make sure you have that mixture of regular images, regular stock photo images, high quality, but at the same time, use actual images. And the great part is that you don't have to go out and hire a photographer for this. Everybody has a smartphone that the cameras are just beyond capable of producing incredibly high quality images at this point. So literally selfies with cell phones and things like that are perfectly okay for this effort. So don't think like, oh, we have to hire a photographer and do a whole photo shoot and do this. Those are all barriers to entry. If you ever wanted to do that because you're updating images on a website or something like that, of course, it's great. But don't ever think in terms of like things that I can do immediately need to be overcomplicated, right? Because it's really not, and it's really simplified, and you're going to get rewarded for moving fast, not having necessarily all professional photos done and that kind of stuff. So just remember that when you're thinking about this, and stay consistent with this, because much like the reviews, this is an algorithm thing. So if they see you do a whole bunch of posts, but then for the next couple months you're not doing any posts, you're not going to get that boost. You're not going to see that consistent boost and uptick in your rankings. Consistency and NAP. So this is something that I touched on before. And again, for people that just joined, the NAP is going to be the name, address, and phone number. Name, address, and phone number across the internet, not just on your Google Business Profile, not just on your website. But the reason that I'm incorporating this into the Google Business Profile part is that is the core. That is the number one. So however things are listed in the Google Business Profile, we want to make sure they're listed exactly the same on the website and in all other directories that we can possibly be listed in. As soon as Google goes out and sees inconsistencies in that, and sometimes inconsistencies can be as simple as using the street abbreviation with a period or not a period, right? Or using the word boulevard versus the abbreviation of boulevard. Even something as simple as that inconsistency, one address has the address, but your Google Business Profile has an address and a suite number. We want to make sure that those things are consistent across the board. The other thing that happens is sometimes, maybe years ago, you worked with a digital marketing agency, they incorporated a bunch of, call tracking numbers and things like that. Well, sometimes people tend to misuse those, and those end up getting posted into these different sites. And a lot of those sites, you're not entering your information. They're picking that up from the internet. The primary source is going to be the Google Business Profile. So making sure it's consistent there, and then doing audits, right? Especially in all the major directories, look in the directories that pop up when you search veterinarian services near me. You'll start to see a lot of different listing directories. Just check those directories and see. And then, there's also more advanced ways that you can use software that goes out and scans them all. And checks that for you. But this is very, very critical. So make sure that this doesn't slip. And again, this is something that evolves and changes. New directories pop up all the time. If they had the old information, they pulled the old information, it can become a challenge. So just something to keep your eye on. Again, just all simple things that we can do that really help out. Okay, the last thing is that we're going to talk about today is optimizing your site and GMB for the local SEO. So when I talk about local SEO, like people use a broad term with SEO, and they think SEO is just how you show up on the internet across the board and things like that. Now, for national companies, national providers, their SEO strategy is completely different than a localized SEO strategy, because in a localized SEO strategy, we are really trying to gain those map rankings. So with that being said, we definitely want to blog. The same thing that I'm saying about the Google Business Profile is the same algorithms that are reading the website. So when somebody creates a beautiful website, they upload all their service pages, they do everything, they upload it, that's going to be indexed by Google. The next month, if no changes have been made to that website, Google's going to re-index that and see that as a site that is not currently active right now. The next month, that happens again, and it's going to see, right? So you want to signal to Google. So I recommend blogging at least once per month. Honestly, it doesn't have to be a crazy frequency, especially if you have really good content throughout your website. You don't have to go overkill on the frequency of this. So I recommend blogging once per month. And when you're blogging and you're specifically looking for the local stuff, make sure that we're using terms like veterinarian in, like for example, I live in Melbourne, Florida. So veterinarian in Melbourne, Florida, you want to use those location specific terms in those blogs and in the writing of those blogs to make sure that Google is recognizing that, right? Because think about that. If you have that in the proper H1 headers and you have the blog content and you have the, especially some of the metadata on the blog content structured correctly, when Google goes out and looks for that and someone's searching and they're like, best veterinarian in Melbourne, Florida. Well, if you have pages that are veterinarian services in Melbourne, Florida, Google's going to look at that and say, wow, this is a direct match. We want to serve up that page. So that's going to improve our rankings, but that all ties back into the Google business profile as well. And that's going to help improve the map rankings on that. Okay, so with that being said, like I said, I promise to get through this content very quickly here, so I don't want to keep anybody. One thing I did want to offer is I have this very cool tool. It's an AI-based tool that can actually show in your geographic area, whether it's a 3 or 5 mile radius, exactly where you're positioned in the map location. So are you in spot 1? Are you in spot 3? Are you in spot 10 when somebody searches for a veterinarian in your area? It uses geotagging, it pinpoints your location, it builds this radius, and it's a visual map. It has a bunch of circles which each represent a 1 mile radius, and then within there, it's going to show you exactly. So what does that mean? Well, that means that when someone's 2-3 miles away from your location and they search that, you'll be able to know exactly, because if you search it from your location, you're like, oh, I'm in the top spot. I'm in Google #1. Well, if you go 2 miles down the road and do the same search, that's going to change. So if anyone's interested in taking a look, totally free. I have unlimited access to the software. I was an early subscriber to it, so they gave me unlimited credits so I can make as many little virtual maps for anybody that wants them. So if anybody's interested in that and you'd like, please just let us know. We're going to send this replay out. We're going to get this out to everybody as soon as this is wrapped up. So you'll have a answer to that. And then also feel free in all my communications and everything about the webinars and the series that we're doing. We're always going to have my calendar link in there. This is all I do. So I do marketing for veterinarians. This is all I do. So I would love to be able to help you with that. Schedule 15 minutes on my calendar. We can dive in. We can take a look at your Google business profile together. Would happy to be able to do that. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone taking the time. I promise I always keep my content short and sweet. So now you can actually go and grab a sandwich, grab a soup or something for lunch. And I hope you enjoy, but seriously, I hope you take me up on that offer to grab that map, because it's very, very good visual tool to see. And in addition, please schedule 15 minutes on my calendar. I love talking marketing. I love talking to veterinarians. Huge dog lover myself. I have 2 dogs, so would love to just talk to you about it. So make it a wonderful day. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll talk soon.